We interrupt with breaking financial news regarding a development that has sent ripples through global currency circles. Frank26, a prominent figure in the Iraqi dinar community and longtime commentator on Middle Eastern monetary reform, is now being quoted as confirming what many have waited years to hear. According to direct remarks that have surfaced in investor networks, Frank26 has confirmed that the Iraqi dinar is locked at an exchange rate of $6, but only until Friday. If accurate, this revelation could mark one of the most consequential moments in modern currency revaluation history. Let's be clear. This report, while explosive, is generating intense scrutiny from financial analysts, currency traders, and international observers. The claim that the dinar is currently rate-locked at $6 is unprecedented. Historically, the Iraqi dinar has been artificially suppressed, trading in recent years near 1,300 dinars per US dollar under the Central Bank of Iraq's managed float system. To suggest that a temporary or internally confirmed rate of $6 per dinar has been initiated, if only for a limited window until the end of the week, is monumental in scope. According to sources familiar with Frank26's recent statements, the rate lock is said to be part of an internal rollout phase. This would mean that while the new rate is recognized behind closed doors, and possibly even being tested or acknowledged at certain institutions, it is not yet publicly reflected on Forex platforms or accessible through normal retail exchanges. Frank26 has, in the past, been extremely careful about distinguishing between official public disclosure and private institutional movement. In this instance, he has reportedly stated with confidence that the $6 figure is fixed for a short duration, implying coordinated timing with Iraq's broader economic reform initiatives. The nature of this window, lasting only until Friday, has further intensified speculation. If true, it suggests an operational or compliance-based mechanism that will expire or transition by the week's end. Some analysts are suggesting this may be a temporary hold in preparation for full international release. Others believe it could be a digital testing phase, in which sovereign entities and select institutions are operating under the new rate before it becomes publicly tradable. Either scenario would mark a significant shift in Iraq's monetary sovereignty and in the dinar investment narrative that has captivated holders around the world for more than a decade. What adds further weight to this unfolding story is the timing. Iraq has recently concluded significant budget negotiations, aligned with World Bank reforms, and moved away from US dollar-based auction mechanisms. The Central Bank of Iraq has made public statements in the past few months regarding its commitment to restoring the dignity of the Iraqi currency and increasing reliance on the local dinar in trade and settlement activities. These are not subtle hints. They are deliberate strategic pivots. If Frank26's claim of a $6 rate lock is grounded in those policy movements, then this moment may be more than just talk. It may be the beginning of a long-anticipated reality. At the same time, this story requires a clear-eyed approach. A locked rate, if not officially declared by the central bank or reflected in global exchange platforms, remains in a gray zone of implementation. That doesn't necessarily discredit it, but it means that it's in transition. It's in process. For currency holders and investors, the message being conveyed is unmistakable. Action may soon be required, and the opportunity window is not indefinite. According to Frank26, the clock is already ticking. The lock ends Friday. What happens after that? Whether a full public announcement, a rate shift, or a retraction, remains unknown. This has created a wave of urgency, especially among dinar holders who have waited, in some cases, over 15 years for meaningful revaluation. The emotional and financial stakes are enormous. A rate of $6 represents a life-altering return for those who purchase the currency at a suppressed value. But as with any global financial transition, risk and volatility come hand in hand with potential reward. Investors are being urged to monitor verified updates closely, keep their redemption strategies aligned with legal and regulatory protocols, and avoid making hasty decisions based solely on hype. What separates this particular moment from years of unconfirmed rumors is the precision of the claim. A specific rate, a specific lock, a specific deadline. Frank26 has reportedly stood behind those statements with clarity, refusing to backtrack or hedge his words. If correct, it means we are standing in the midst of an extremely narrow but historic window. If the rate becomes active for public transaction after this lock period expires, Friday may not be just another day on the calendar. It may be the last moment before the next financial era begins. There is also concern about regional and international implications. A revalued dinar at $6 would immediately elevate Iraq's purchasing power, impacting import-export pricing, debt servicing, and foreign investment levels. Oil contracts, sovereign wealth management, and regional trade agreements would all have to adapt quickly. In short, such a revaluation doesn't occur in a vacuum. It shifts global balance sheets. Central banks around the world would likely need to update holdings, recalibrate reserves, and reassess exposure to emerging market currencies. That ripple effect could be substantial, especially if other regional currencies are re-rated in response. From a technical standpoint, the infrastructure for a rate change of this magnitude would require robust digital clearing systems, secure compliance protocols, and harmonized timing among global financial institutions. Frank26 has previously spoken about Iraq's engagement with international partners to ensure such systems are in place. If those preparations are truly complete, then the $6 rate, however improbable it once sounded, could be a planned reality rather than fantasy. It is also important to remember that rate locks of this nature are not new to currency reform history. Several nations that have undergone redenomination or economic resets have utilized closed-door transitional rate windows before public disclosure. These time-limited locks allow for system synchronization, internal balancing, and avoidance of speculative chaos. If that is indeed what is happening here, then the Friday deadline is less about secrecy and more about operational readiness. Still, with so much riding on this moment, caution is warranted. No currency reform happens without friction, delays, or last-minute pivots. The situation is fluid. The possibility exists that the rate lock may be extended, revised, or even revoked. That is the nature of sovereign monetary strategy. Decisions can shift based on international negotiations, security concerns, or internal logistical barriers. So while the claim of a $6 rate is headline-making, it is still dependent on unfolding events that may not be fully visible to the public.